last couple of years, we've been working on a lot of new bankruptcy cases together. We've been working on the opioids, the Boy Scouts. Sometimes it's smart to go back in history and look at the granddaddy of all bankruptcy, which was asbestos and mesothelioma. Is that tort done, or can we still get more out of it? Might not be a lot of people focusing on asbestos and mesothelioma right now, but that might be the perfect time to take a second look at it and go back into it. So today I brought on an expert to talk about asbestos and mesothelioma. He also happened to be one of my oldest friends in the industry, Brent and Jay Jackson. They were the people that got me started in this industry. So I put a lot of trust in them. Hey Brent, hope you're doing well. As always, I have some questions for you. This time about asbestos. I know you've been in it for a long time, and me and my clients, we just like to know, is there still something to do there? Is there still clients to find?
Jacob, we've done a lot of projects over the years, and I guess the thing that strikes me most is that one of the easiest cases for us to work on is a case that we haven't even tried to work on together, and that is the world of asbestos. And the reason that asbestos is still such a good case, or several reasons. One of which is that there are still millions of people who are recently and in the near future going to be diagnosed with an asbestos related problem because asbestos is a disease that takes many years to develop. That's what we call the latency process. So as a result of that, it's not like we see with other products where there's a recall and there's a short period of time to do something. Asbestos cases were being filed in the 1970s, actually right in my hometown, in Beaumont, Texas, is where the first asbestos lawsuits in America were brought and successfully prosecuted 50 years ago. And what we've seen since then is a whole host of industries that have been found liable. And we have found through all of our investigation into through the asbestos litigation that there were thousands of other products that were even household products that contained asbestos that caused harm to people that did not even know that the products they were using caused potentially put them at risk and caused lung cancer and other diseases. So the pool of people to be looking at is huge. We also know very specifically that there's a tremendous amount of medical research showing the strong correlation between asbestos exposure and a host of cancers. So that's well proven and established, irrefutable evidence. The third is we know that there's still close to $30 billion left in a number of bankruptcy funds that we work on, as well as an unlimited amount of resources against what are remaining as the solvent tort defendants in this litigation. So you don't have all of these risk issues like, is this going to hold up in the appeals court? Are they going to find the epidemiology and toxicology is strong enough? Is it going to be Dahlberg proof? You look at Roundup and what went up with the Supreme Court recently that created the whole issue of what's going to happen to that litigation from a causation standpoint. All those issues are fully resolved in this arena, so there's no risk on the causation issues. There's no risk anytime soon of them getting any kind of immunity, like what happened with the tobacco industry. So your case there is on all fours. So then the case is just who can you represent, who can you get a recovery against? We have 30 bankruptcies out there that are solvent now that we've been healing for some of them for several decades that continue to pay over time. These are permanent asbestos trusts. They're not like they pay you one time and then they're done. They're set up as what are called evergreen funds so that people in the future that get the disease can still qualify and submit a claim. My firm, the last 20 years since I started my own firm, has been doing this for many thousands of cases in an innumerable amount of bankruptcies, hundreds of thousands in total on proof of claim forms that we've handled over all those years. I serve on some of those advisory committees with the bankruptcy courts. I think that what we've seen now transitionally is within the tort system, new bankruptcies becoming somewhat of a tort du jour. You see it with Boy Scouts, you've seen it with Purdue and some of the opioids, and yet nobody's made that effort to go back and recreate it off of some of the bankruptcies that are already solvent and already funded. These ones that we're talking about now, you don't know how much it's going to fund or when it's going to fund. For asbestos, most of those funds have already been established many years ago. And as I said, I'm an advisor on a number of those committees even today, decades later, and they're still solvent. They're going to remain solvent for indefinite decades in the future until all future claims are paid as well.
So here in asbestos and meso and lung cancer, many people are confused about Are we going after the lung cancer cases? Which ex-social, we run many campaigns for lung cancer, the different levels of lung cancer, but I'm not sure everybody really understands what they need to find. Could you explain that to everybody?
Yeah, so then it's a question of, if you're going into these waters, what are the kind of clients that you want to look for that can give you a reasonable return on investment? Same for asbestosis. That's a scarring of the inside of the lung caused by the asbestos fibers themselves, not dissimilar to pneumonia, but it's a pneumonia that doesn't go away. That scarring is permanent and it can't be cured. There's still the kind of cases that could get you some kind of modest settlements in the bankruptcy court. So you would look at them from that standpoint.
Wow, Brent, very interesting. So tell me about the next level.
The next level up are your lung cancers and other cancers. There's a host of cancers that are at least mildly associated to asbestos, from inhalation and swallowing, which are esophageal cancers, kidney, colorectal, and others. Those aren't highly associated, but there are links. They can get paid something in the bankruptcy system. The next level up are your lung cancers. There are half a dozen different lung cancers that are all strongly associated to asbestos. Almost all of the same ones that are caused by smoking are caused by asbestos. Whether small cell, host cell, large cells, or adenocarcinomas, all of those are highly associated to asbestos exposure. Those kinds of cases are also compensable in the bankruptcy system and sometimes in the tort system if you can still find a solvent defendant. And last but not least, as you mentioned, are the mesotheliomas. So there's the full range of diseases. All of them have some value and merit in looking at them. And again, once you're into the malignancies, you have certainly the option of a decent recovery within the various bankruptcies, and you have some chance in some cases of filing a tort system lawsuit as well.
Wow, Brent, that was a lot of information. So it's amazing. I mean, with all your knowledge, you think you could work with me at X Social Media and my clients and teach them where the big fish are swimming in this case? Where do we find the best cases at? Is it in the auto industry? Is it on the pier down in Louisiana? Is it military? Could you help us really target this to find the best cases for my clients?
We can help connect those dots from the work that we've done in the past and knowing where certain products that were manufactured went in terms of to job sites, and help them flush out some other resource information to connect those dots.
So, Brent, us working with Opus Intake, I hope will give us the access to the extensive library of videos and documentation that Opus Intake has on the asbestos and the meso claims, so we can take that and use that with the ex social marketing and get that perfect intake, perfect marketing, and that combination should give us the best chance as finding as many clients as possible in this tort.
Yeah, and Jacob, one of the recommendations in a case like this, even though it's a mature tort, there are a lot of nuances, as I mentioned, and it's helpful for potential clients as well as the lawyers to understand a lot of these nuances. So, in that vein, I've had websites that dedicate a lot of information, background information, and linking information on asbestos for decades now, and Jay Jackson with Opus has worked with us in putting together most of that resource information over the decades. They'd be a perfect source to help fill out that information and round it out and use it as a resource in this litigation, help other firms set up their own tools.